Good evening, sir. My name is Joshka. Today's second article is on Sudan's troubles. The continuing violence is a reminder of the task of restoring peace among ethnic groups. So, this violence, the continuous violence, reminds us of the restoring peace of ethnic groups. Ethnic groups is a community or population made up of people who share common culture or descent. So, let's start. The massacre over 60 people over the weekend in Sudan's Darfur region marks a further escalation in the violence blighting the territory since the 2019 ouster of the country's dictator Omar al-Bashir. So there was a brutally killing means massacre, which is meant by deliberately brutally killing many people. So this took place in the Sudan's Darfur region, and there was a very rapid increase in the violence, and the country's dictator Omar al-Bashir. About 500 armed men targeted the Masalit community in West Darfur's Masteri town. So, over 500 military people or people who are strong have focused or attacked on the region of Darfur's Mastari town. According to the UN officer for the coordination of humanitarian affairs, this was because of the coordination of humanitarian affairs. On Friday, 20 people, including women and children, were gunned down in a South Darfur town when displaced farmers were returning to the region under a recent government backed agreement with the original landowners. So, on Friday, 20 people were killed, and in the South Darfur town, and displaced farmers when displaced farmers were returning back with their landowners. Days earlier, Khartoum declared an emergency in the North Darfur region after a police station was burned down and vehicles set on fire by protesters in a small town, and militias attacked another. So, Khartoum had declared that the emergency in North Darfur region was police station was burned down and the cars were set on fire by the protesters. These incidents are a reminder of the unfinished task of restoring stability in Darfur, racked by conflict between the nation's dominant Arab rulers and the African ethnic communities demanding greater autonomy from Khartoum. So, this was due to the conflict between dominant Arab rulers and American communities for the autonomy. So, autonomy means the right or condition of self government. So, they needed a right or condition of self government. And Neftiti town in central Darfur has become the epicenter of the growing opposition in the region. So, the Neftiti town in that Darfur region has become the epicenter, means center of opposition. The mass citizens since June have attracted wider support from the professional classes that spearheaded the 2019 popular uprising that led to the fall of the autocratic regime of Mr. Bashir. So these citizens attracted wider support of professional classes. And then there was a fall in autocratic regime of Mr. Bashir. In response to demands from women's groups for basic protection following the violence, Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok has announced the deployment of additional security forces. So, in favor of this, Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok have ensured a additional security force. But the continuing tensions merely reinforce concerns that the government's assurance at the beginning of its month have not translated into concrete measures. So these tensions have led to that they have not, in the beginning of this month, they have not translated these concrete measures. Another key demand is the handover of Mr. Bashir to the Hague to be tried for genocide and atrocities in Darfur. So the demand was to give Mr. Bashir and hand over the atrocities, genocide and atrocities in Darfur. While some officials have sounded positive on the question, top military officials in the transitional government are said to be concerned about the risk that others close to him could be implicated. So some of the people have accepted this, and the top military officials have said that is a very risky thing. Meanwhile, extraditing Mr. Bashir, now imprisoned in Khartoum, could serve as a useful trade-off for the government to restore ties with the West, have sanctions removed, and attract investments. Sudan's largely young and educated population counts on advances in economic growth and guarantees of democratic freedoms to better its prospects overall. So, Sudan's young and educated population in economic growth has a freedom to better prospects overall. The issue will test the tenuous ties between the military and the civilian led government and the credibility of the progress to a practitionary democracy. Tenuous meaning very weak or slight. So, the issue will test the tenuous ties, weak ties, the military and the civil led government, and the credibility, the ability of the progress to participate democracy, practitionary democracy. At any rate, securing the peace in the nation's west is critical for Sudan's broader democratic transition that was set in motion last year. So the securing peace of this nation of Sudan's broader democratic transitions was in motion last year, was going on last year. An immediate end to the violence in Darfur out to be Khartoum's uppermost priority. So the violence in Darfur was Khartoum's first priority, and restoration of normalcy is also the only route to the timely conduct of democratic elections. And restoration is only the one method to make this right. Thank you.